The golden calf story has been repeating itself over and over again for the past year. And so the first time I noticed the golden calf story as a theme was last year, the week before President Trump said, give me 15 days to slow the spread of COVID-19. So 15 days, okay. Well, the reading that week was the golden calf, and we learned it only took 40 days for the people to turn away from Moses and to turn away from God and to go the wrong way. The week after that, actually the week before that, churches were already closing on their own before it even asked for the 15 days. The churches just closed. I mean, what?
Yeah, I went to restaurants where the churches were closed.
Yeah, the churches
I was furious.
just closed of their own free will. And so God's saying the week that the churches are closing that, hey, if you do this, people are going to turn away from God. And we've read you the stats over and over again that Barner did, showing that how each age group left the church or went to a different church or stayed right where they were. We've read those number of times. We've got those posted on our Facebook page and stuff, so you can go back and look at that for yourself. But God's telling us that this is happening. Then, that if we close down things, people are going to turn away from God. Then we get back to Passover time. It's the reading again. Pentecost. We get through a real Passover. Then we get to Pentecost, and here we are reading about the calf again, where a government's created, but they don't stand up and do anything they're supposed to do, and the people fall. And then last week's reading, we're back again at the golden calf. And what's really interesting is during the program yesterday, we were talking, and the Lord just downloaded to me as we were talking on the program yesterday, that what is the abbreviation for the state of California? It's CALF. What does that spell? It spells calf. What is the name given to California? It's called the Golden State. It's the Golden Calf State. Mm-hmm. That's what it is. And so when we begin to look at that and we begin to ask God, what does that mean and what's happening? Look at that state. They have a governor in place that has some of the harshest and hardest rules and regulations on that state than any other state in the nation. You have that one in New York. They're the two worst. Okay? So what's really interesting is Gavin. His name means God sent. That's what his name means. It means God sent or white hawk is what his name means.
God sent?
Oh, God sent or white hawk. Well, didn't God tell Abraham hundreds of years prior that his children would be forced into slavery for 400 years? Mm-hmm. So did not God send Pharaoh? Did not God send and set the situation up? Because he already told him when he made the covenant with him that I'm going to make the covenant with you, but this is going to happen before they go into their land and their place, that they are going to be in servitude to another nation for 400 years. So did God not send Pharaoh? Doesn't the Bible say that God puts who he will in power and raises some up and tears other ones down, but he is in control of who has power and authority over a nation? I mean, is that what the Bible says? So God sent Pharaoh. God sent Gavin Newsom. Now, what's really interesting, his last name, Newsom, means a new house. It means a new house. So God sent a man who's causing the people. And this week in our parsha readings is the week that the tabernacle's built. What did you say happened yesterday, Dorothy? What are all the people meeting now?
In tents.
He sent them to a new house.
I'm telling you, there's such revival in tents all
God sent a man that caused people to go to a new house. They're not going to buildings anymore. All the restaurants are in tents. All the churches are in tents. He sent this man to get them out of the four walls and into tents. Yeah. His name is cause and purpose.
Yeah. You look at Greg Lott's church. Mm-hmm. They didn't close and through the whole pandemic. And his church, he only had a small couple hundred people church. He outgrew so much that he's in a 900-person tent. And now they're having to go bigger because that's not enough to hold everybody.
That all happened during pandemic.
Right.
Okay. So now I've asked myself many times, and I just really don't, is of all the things that Aaron could have made for them to worship, why did he make a calf? He could have made a full-grown cow. He could have made a bull. He could have made an ox. These are all symbols for God, all different things for that in the different religions and stuff. But why did he choose a baby cow? Just stop and ponder. Why a baby cow? Let's look what a baby cow needs. A female influence. A baby cow needs a mother. It cannot stand and do anything on its own. It has to have a female to nurture it and guide it to where it's at. So of all the things he could have made, a baby cow is what led you out of Egypt? A baby cow who needs a female to nurture it and give it milk is what led you out of Egypt? That makes absolutely no sense. But now let's look at our nation as a whole, where we're at. So we have the Golden State, and before we go into that, just very quickly, the golden calf was the first sin they made as a nation. Okay, they sinned prior to being a nation. They sinned in complaining about water. They sinned in complaining about food. But there was not a government created and a law given at that time. Once the government was created, the 70 elders chosen, and then the law given, the first sin they commit after those two actions, that's what makes you a nation. To be a nation, you have to have government and you have to have law. So once they had government and have law, the first sin they committed was creating a golden calf that said that took the place of God. But in essence, they were taking the place of Moses, because we don't know where Moses went, so let's create something to lead us, okay? So in essence, they were replacing Moses, in essence, is what they were replacing, but with a baby cow, okay? So now it needs a female influence. So let's just look at our nation now. Let's look at the highest office in the land is the presidency. The second highest is the vice president. Well, we have a vice president who hails from the state of California, who is a female. Coincidence? I think not. Let's look at the third highest ranking person in the nation with power and authority. It's the House of Representatives Speaker, happens to be female, from California.
Making terrible laws, by the way.
Okay, so here we are.
Just had to say that.
We have these things. Now, there's a lot into a name. Names are very powerful. They mean a lot. And let me just tell you, I didn't know this, and I just did a little research this morning. Kamala Harris, we never go by her middle name. We never, no one ever mentions her middle name. But let's talk about her name. Kamala Devi Harris, okay? Now, what's really interesting is the name Kamala is based on, is the name of a Hindu goddess. Now, her mother is from India. Her father is from Jamaica, okay? The name literally means, Kamala means lotus or pale red. Let's look at her skin tone. She's a pale red skin tone, okay? So it's kind of describing her visually, okay? But then we go into her Hindu goddess and what she does, what she represents. The other name that the goddess is mainly known by is Lakshmi, is a Hindu goddess of prosperity, good luck, and beauty. She's often depicted with a lotus flower. Now, the name that no one ever calls her by, Devi, is the Hindu goddess, but her name in Hindu goddess is the mother goddess. Devi is considered to encompass womanhood completely. Okay? So, encompass womanhood completely. So, a motherly figure, but not just a motherly figure. We're talking about the, what's the female thing? With no men. With no men.
What's a female thing?
So, you know what I'm talking about? The movement, the female movement.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, feminist.
Feminist. It's feminist. So feminist. So she embodies that. I mean, just look at her, okay, and the things that she's done and the decisions she's made. All right, womanhood completely and as a nurturing force and protector of villages. However, now her job. Now let's just stop. Her job prior to being a senator was she was an AG. Right? She was a prosecutor, state prosecutor, okay? So her job was to protect people in the villages and the cities. But she didn't even do that right. She let criminals get away and put people away that shouldn't. You can go back and do your research and look at her history. It's there. It's documented. Don't take my word for it. Go do your own research. But it's out there. It's easy to find, okay? So that's what she's supposed to be. However, she does have a fierce side. And she is involved not only in creating worlds, but destroying them as well, okay? So we look at all these awful laws that are being signed into place. Who's standing right behind the man signing them?
She is. And she's probably formulating them, if you want to know the truth, because I don't think he has...
You know what I think is crazy is we shut down our pipeline and our gas prices are going skyrocket, yet we help Afghanistan and we help pay for their pipeline.
And how much of that money is coming back to them?
And get this, so Biden, whose son Hunter works for Burisma, which is an oil company overseas, we're stopping producing oil over here, yet we're buying it over there.
Yeah.
He's compromised.
It's all compromise.
So it's America last. We went from a president that was America first to America last. Period. Go ahead, go on.
And so it's just really interesting to me that we have this golden calf. And we have the state called the Golden State. When it's abbreviated, it spells calf. And so we also have, it's something that needs a female influence in the number 2 and number 3 position of power in this nation are held by both females from this state. The state that right now represents the golden calf, the golden sin state right now.
And that golden calf is getting ready to go down.
And it's getting ready to go down.
Now, California's not going down, but I'm telling you, the calf is going down.
The representation's going down.
Yes,
going down.
because they're covering it with tent meetings. This Sunday, every pastor is going to be open no matter what the law is. They're going to be open. And they're going to be preaching the gospel. They're
Well,
not
they
going
should have been doing it all along.
Yeah.
Because it's unconstitutional.
Yes.
Take it to court.
Yeah.
Fight them.
And so right now they're signing the petition to remove Gavin Newsom. And so what does that say? The people are saying, "Let my people go. Let my people go. Let my people go." And so here we are. We're signing a petition. They need 2 million signatures. They're right there at it. So if you're in the area, please sign the petition to say, "Let my people go. Let's remove this person that is doing ungodly laws." But let's also look at Pharaoh. Pharaoh made things harder for everyone else, but yet he lived a life of luxury. Okay, what has Gavin done? Gavin's closed everything down, yet he's out with no mask at a big party drinking wine and not social distancing. He's doing the
Inside the restaurants.
exactly opposite of what he's telling other people to do. It's a double standard.
And closing restaurants and all kinds of bad stuff. I like that. Let my people go.
I mean, that's what the petition is saying. Let my people go. And so now God does things not with just one person necessarily nowadays, because he's calling everyone to stand up and do something. He's calling everyone to be the Moses. He's calling everyone to be the David. He's calling everyone to be the Daniel. He's not doing it with one person anymore because he wants everyone to be a part of what he's doing. And he's calling you to do your part, to speak up, to say something, to say enough's enough. We're no longer going to take these ridiculous laws anymore. We're no longer going to take this. We send our congressmen, we send our governors, we send the different people there to govern for us, not to govern us. We send them there to do the will of the people. We send them there with a purpose to listen to our voices, not for them to be dictators over us. And we forget that for some reason.
We pay their salary.
I don't know why Americans seem to forget that. We sent them there. We're the one that give them power. They don't give us power. We give them power, and we can also be the ones to take it away. And so we need to begin to realize that and start taking our God-given authority that God created this nation. He set it apart from every other nation. Not any other nation can do the things that we can do in our government and our laws because we have a constitution, a divinely inspired piece of paper that's a contract that says how this nation is to run. Maybe you should read that again. Maybe you should go back and educate yourself and realize, ooh, they can't be doing that. They can't be making this law. They can't be exerting their power and authority over me in any fashion or form.
Both H.R. 1 and H.R. 5 are unconstitutional. They both go against what the Constitution says.
Can that ever be reversed if they pass it?
It would have to go to the Supreme Court. Now, unfortunately, we know the Supreme Court is corrupt by some of the latest things that they have just done. And so, you know, we just have to pray that they'll stand up for righteousness and stand up for what the Constitution says, because the Constitution is the supreme law of the land. And legislators can't legislate laws that go against the Constitution. Now they want to do away, the left wants to do away with our Constitution because it stops them in their agenda of destroying America.
And the Second Amendment rights.
Right.
So you better let your voice be heard.
Yes.
And you're very faithful at writing and calling the congressman. And that's what you need to do.
That's
daily.
what we have to
Call
do
them,
because
write
they
them.
work for us. What I want to know is I would love to see the tax return of every single politician. Now, they wanted to see Trump's, and guess what? Nothing there. You know, he's the only politician who's gone in who's lost money.
Yeah.
Okay? But you get these politicians who go in there, $174,000 a year salary, and all of a sudden they're multimillionaires. It's because the lobbyists and the under-table deals. Do you think that this $1.9 trillion stimulus package that just went out, okay, 9% of that is what goes to COVID. The other 91% is going to things that have absolutely nothing to do with COVID. And guess what? It goes to these places.
Lobbyists, yeah.
And then lobbyists, and comes right back to the Democratic Party.
Yeah.
It's called dark money, and that's where they get it from.
Also,
your tax dollars.
Also, they're trying to make it so that every business has to have a labor union.
Well, the last one that went through, every single congressperson got, what, a $50,000 raise?
Yeah.
They got a raise?
They got a $50,000 raise out of the last.
They didn't even go to work half the time, and they got a raise. Yet American people are struggling, and we're supposed to be happy with $600 when they gave us last go around.
Yeah, you got $600, but they got
$50,000 raise.
And you're supposed to be happy with your $600. Now you're supposed to be happy with the $1,400 check you got. But do you realize that you just took on $17,500 in debt? Your children just took on that debt also on this last stimulus. But be happy with your $1,400, but now you're going to have to, now you're in debt, and your children and your grandchildren are in debt, $17,500
per person.
Making a slave out of you.
So
we have the constitutional little booklet here. If you don't know your Constitution, you ought to get it, and you ought to read it.
Right.
Because you need to know it. I remember when the churches closed, Angela said, they can't do that.
No.
It's wrong. It's not according to the Constitution.
Right. And I personally know people who have churches that refuse to close, and they are exploding at the seams.
Yeah, because God honored them.
Right. Well, and that people were looking for a church to go to.
Uh-huh.
And so,
Kent Christmas.
Carl Gallup, his church is exploding. Kent Christmas.
We talked to him yesterday. He
exploding.
is exploding.
And the power of God is moving, and things are happening.
Yeah. Hey, Kuderman, it's really important that you stand strong in these days for Jesus.
Right.
That's where the revival is going to come from.
The church is going to have to, unfortunately, fight for our rights. That's just where it's going to be. And you have to know what they are. And, I know a lot of Christians don't want to be political, they don't want to be involved in politics.
Well, guess what happened?
But because we haven't been. And I was there. I was one of those. I'll be honest with you. I was.
She used to get mad at me when I talk about it.
I was. But because the church has stayed out of politics, now we have abortion. We have prayer out of our schools. Now they're teaching liberal agendas in our schools. In New York, they just passed a bill to teach elementary kids sex education, including gay sex, to our elementary kids. Kids in elementary school don't need to know about sex. Let's just put it where it's at. They don't. And that is something that needs to be taught at home, especially in a Christian home, because we have godly principles we want to teach along with sex.
Right.
And so, as Christians, we need to be involved. Now, does everybody need to be overly involved No, but you need your voice heard. You need to know what's coming down, and you need to be vocal about it. You need to write your congressman. You need to vote, not party. Get off the whole party bandwagon, and you better vote according to the platform. And they better line up with what the Word of God is. And if they're for abortion, you can't vote for them. If they're for the whole LGBTQ pushing agenda that the Democrats are pushing through right now with H.R. 5, which means your kids will have to learn about homosexual sex in sex education, even if they're in Christian schools. Now, of course, I think that this can be fought and won in the Supreme Court because it goes against our religious freedoms. Basically, your Bible would become illegal because it talks against homosexuality.
Yeah.
Pay attention, people. And so it's time that the church rise up, know what's happening, and be vocal about it.